Very good morning, everyone. Today we'll be studying Unit 2nd of our course AGCON 501. Herein we will be studying theory of consumer behavior, in that too ordinal utility approach. Hello, I am Dr. Sanjay, Assistant Professor in the Department of Agricultural Economics, CACS HAUSR, and I'll be your tutor for this course. So let's begin. These are the contents we'll be studying in this lecture. What is ordinal utility and what is scale of preferences, and the two concepts needed for assessing consumers behavior according to ordinal utility approach. One is indifference curve and second is budget line. What are the assumptions and properties related to these things, and how a consumer decides based on these two concepts. First of all, what is ordinal utility? Ordinal is a scale where we can rank things. We can give them ranks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to any number, or we can compare things, whether we like something more than something else, whether we like something less than something else, or whether we like two things equally. Okay. Ordinal utility. That means utility is a measure of satisfaction. Measure of satisfaction. Herein we can say that, let's say we have 10 goods, 2 or 3 apples, mangoes, bananas and chocolates. Let's say we can rank these 4 goods in terms of their satisfaction they give to us. We can give rank 1 to apple, 2 to mango, 3 to chocolates, and 4 to bananas. Or we can say that we like apples more than mangoes, we like banana more than mangoes, we like chocolate more than mangoes. That means we like everything more than mangoes. Okay. Or less, it can be also less, or it can be also equal. Some things can be equally satisfying, less or more than satisfying. So these things where we rank, or we can say that we can compare, this is ordinal scale. When we are giving utility a rank, or we can say that we can compare utility of two things, then it is a ordinal utility. Okay. In terms of cardinal, we can give them a number. Let's say apple gave us satisfaction of 30 utils, mango gave us satisfaction of 40. We can actually give our utility a number, a specific number. It can even be in points. Okay. But in not in ordinal, either we can give them ranks or we can compare them only. What is a scale of preferences? A scale of preferences generally means a person can rank all possible combinations of two goods. All possible means there are, let's say, hundreds of combinations. Combinations means different quantities of two goods, and he can rank all of them. He can tell you whether he likes this combination, let's say combination 1 more than 2, less than 2, equal to 2, or he can tell you combination 1 is equal to 3, 1 is equal to 4, 1 is equal to 5. Okay, he can rank like this. So now in order to understand this total ordinal utility approach of consumer behavior, we need to understand two concepts. First is indifference curve, IC, and second is budget line. So let's begin with indifference curve. Now, what is an indifference curve? Indifference curve, map and its slope, these are its properties. Indifference curve, which is also designated by IC, it is a curve which represents all possible combinations of two goods. Herein we are talking about good X on X-axis and Y on Y-axis that are equally desirable or give equal satisfaction. This is what it means by indifference, that a person doesn't feel different about all these combinations of goods. Okay. The combination, let's say combination A and combination B and combination C. See, all of them have different quantities of X and Y, but B, A and C, they all give equal satisfaction to them. So when we join all these points, we get a curve which is called as indifference curve. Why this is of this specific shape, we'll be studying further in its properties. So again, it is a curve which which connects all the points of two goods that are equally desirable or give equal satisfaction. Indifference map. Herein there are many indifference curves. It is a representation of scale of preferences. As I told you, in scale of preferences there are hundreds of combinations of different quantities. So they can be, all these combinations are equally preferable, Okay, A, B, C and A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, E. All of them give equal satisfaction. But A1, A2, A1, B1, sorry, C1, D1 and E1. These all give equal satisfaction to each other but give higher satisfaction than all these combinations. Okay, and similarly, if we just think about the points on the further indifference curve, these points are going to give you more satisfaction than the earlier and more satisfaction than the further back. Okay, what it means is when an indifference curve moves to this side, farther an indifference curve is from the origin, farther from origin. Okay, that means higher satisfaction. Why does it mean higher satisfaction? Because those combinations on the higher indifference curve have more quantity of goods, of both the goods. Let's say combination C on this curve and combination C1 on this curve, they have more quantity of both the goods, X and as well as Y. Okay, so what is the slope of indifference curve? The slope of indifference curve is also called as marginal rate of substitution. What do we mean by marginal rate of substitution? First of all, let's understand how do we write marginal rate of substitution. MRS, and in subscript there is X and Y. The position of X and Y is very critical. This, the good that comes here first, is the good that is there on X axis, and the good that comes second is on Y axis. How do we define marginal rate of substitution? It is that quantity of good Y, that means this one, a person is ready to let go, that means he is ready to give up to have one more unit of X. That means marginal rate of substitution at point B is the quantity of good Y. That means quantity of good Y, a person is ready to let go to have one more unit of X. Okay, that means a person is ready to let go 5 units of Y to have one more unit of X. Let's say at this point he had 20 units of Y and only 1 unit of X, and at B point now he has only 15 units of Y and 2 units of X. So that means for gaining one more unit of X, he let go, or he gave up 5 units of Y. Okay, and from now moving from B to C, let's say he gave up 3 units of Y to have one more unit of X. Now from C to D, let's say he gave up 2 units of Y to have one more unit of X. Now let's say he gave up only 1 unit of Y to have one more unit of X. So what are these? If you write it mathematically, that means change in unit of Y to gain one more unit of X. Delta X is 1 in all the cases. If we move from A to B, a person gave up 5 units, B to C he gave up 3 units, C to D he gave up 2 units, and D to E he gave up only 1 unit. As you can see, marginal rate of substitution between two goods is decreasing as we move down the indifference curve, move from left to right or move down the indifference curve, marginal rate of substitution decreases. Okay, why does this happen? We will be studying in the next slide. Now, assumptions of ordinal utility analysis. What are the assumptions? There are, in economics, nothing can be studied in free form. There are always assumptions to get some healthy conclusions. Otherwise, there are many uncontrolled variables which we cannot study. To make a study possible, we need to make assumptions. Why is marginal rate of technical substitution, MRS is also called as marginal rate of technical substitution, we can write them both the ways, is diminishing in nature? I just showed you by the chart in earlier slide. Okay, why does this happen? It happens because two goods are always the two goods we are talking in general are imperfect substitutes. In general, all, see, there are very few things which are perfect substitutes of each other. Perfect means we don't care if we have one or the other. Both are extremely equal to us. But imperfect substitute means both of them are substitutes but not entirely. Alright, not perfect. Let's say perfect substitutes example is petrol. petrol from either from Hindustan Petroleum Oil Pump or Indian Oil Petrol Pump. Both are perfect substitutes, okay, but imperfect substitutes. Let's say coffee and tea. These are substitutes but are imperfect. Nobody can just skip coffee and have tea all the time. Okay, we always want a combination of these two things. As we know, most of the things in our vicinity are imperfect substitutes. So as the quantity of x increases when you move from left to right on the indifference curve, the quantity of y decreases. Okay, and when the quantity of x increases, we feel like we have enough of x and less of y. So what it means is, whenever the quantity of one thing increases, our desire for that thing reduces because we have enough of it, and when the quantity of y reduces, we feel like having at least a little bit of y, so we are ready to let go lesser and lesser of y for more and more quantity of x. Satiable want of a good. As we have more and more of a good, a particular good, our desire for that good reduces. So both these statements, imperfect substitutes, most of the things are imperfect substitutes, and plus when the quantity of something increases, as in this case the quantity of x increases, our desire for that reduces. That's why these both the arguments show that one prefers to consume a combination of two goods rather than just one. Okay, because most of the things are imperfect substitutes. Second assumption is transitivity. If we like a combination A more than B and B more than C, then naturally a combination A is going to be preferred over C. This is called as transitivity. Complete information with the consumer. A consumer is going to make his scale of preferences because he has all the information he needs. Alright, about the quantities, the prices, his likes, dislikes, options. Okay. Fourth is non-satiation. Non-satiation means more of a good is always preferred than less. That means when we are not comparing this particular good with anything else. That means simply if we have 50 kg, that means we'll be preferring 50 more than 40 more than 30 kgs. We're not comparing here this good with anything else. Okay, so don't confuse this thing with satiable want of a good. Herein we are discussing about two goods. We are discussing about two goods in combination. That's why the want of a good is satiable. Okay, but if you are talking only about one good in particular, then it is natural. More money is preferred to less. More and more money is preferred to less. We prefer 2 crores more than 1 crore. Okay, we prefer 100 crores more than 2 crores. We prefer 101 crore more than 100 crores. All right. Continuity. A person is able to rank preferences or combination with minor differences. As you know, we are going to make a indifference map. So there are different combinations, thousands of combinations here, and not all the combinations are going to have values of these two goods x and y in discrete form. Discrete means 1, 2, 3. The quantities will be in continuous form also at different point 1.2, 2.2, 2.45, these kind of combination. The consumer is able to rank these things with minor differences, although these don't seem naturally possible, but this is an assumption. A consumer is going to act rationally means in economics he is going to maximize his satisfaction. He is going to ask for maximum bang for the buck. The linear language, you can call it this, because or you can just say it, he wants to fulfill his desire to the most possible by spending the least money. Now what are the properties of an indifference curve? So after discussing the assumptions, we are jumping onto the properties of an indifference curve. As we said, it is sloping downwards towards the right. When we move from left to right, it will slope downwards. This is the shape. Okay. We are going to establish this shape by negating all the other possible shapes. Okay. In these three cases, let's say quantity of x is same. Let's say if somebody says, can the shape of indifference curve be parallel to y-axis? No, it cannot be. Why it cannot be? Because in this case the quantity of x is same and quantity of y is increasing 10, 20 and 30. Alright, and as I said, all these combinations, this and this, a person cannot have same level of satisfaction. Indifference curve means that a person has same level of satisfaction for a, b and c. Okay, but in this case he cannot have same level of satisfaction on a, b and c because the quantity of y is more and more and more in these combinations, whereas the quantity of x is same. So if this is going to be the shape of indifference curve, then the assumption of non-satiation, which says that more is better than less, is going to be violated. Okay, more is better than less means that more gives more satisfaction than lesser quantity. Alright, so this cannot be the shape. Similarly, parallel to x axis can also not be the shape, because on combination a, b and c the satisfaction level cannot be equal, because the quantity of x is more in c than b and b has more quantity of x than a. So the satisfaction level here is like this. Alright, so it is not equal. It is not equal. So we can, these 3 points cannot lie on the same indifference curve. Similarly, in the third possibility, rising upwards. So on combination A, B and C, the quantity of x and y, quantity of x and y at combination A is 10, 10, combination B is 20, 20, combination C is 30, 30. So naturally, by the assumption of non-satiation that says more is better than less, these 3 points cannot lie on the same level of satisfaction, because more of a good, that means more satisfaction. So this cannot be the shape of an indifference curve. So what remains is many other shapes, but for the time being we are going to negate these 3 and establish that the shape of an indifference curve is generally downward sloping towards the right, because goods are imperfect substitutes and satiable ones of a particular good. Higher indifference means higher satisfaction, that it follows the assumption of non-satiation, which means more is better than less. More quantity of both the goods, you can see at these points A, B and C. At C it is 30, 30, at B is 20, 20, at A is 10, 10. So more of the goods, that means higher level of satisfaction. Alright, so that means higher indifference curve, higher IC means higher satisfaction. Okay, third property is convex to origin. What is the shape? What, it slopes downward from left to right. Now it says it is convex to origin. Convex to origin means there is a diminishing marginal rate of technical substitution between the two goods x and y. And why is this diminishing marginal rate of technical substitution? Because wants of a person are satiable, and there are goods are generally imperfect substitutes. Okay, so we are going to establish this shape by negating the other two shapes. Negating the shape of a concave. Can we say that an indifference curve have a concave shape? It cannot have it. And can we say that it can have a straight line shape? It cannot have it. Why it cannot have this thing? Because as you can see from point A, B, C, D, E. Okay, if you are going to calculate marginal rate of technical substitution between x and y, that is change in units of y divided by change in units of x. If we say change in x is just 1, so marginal rate of technical substitution, it should be diminishing. But in this case it is not diminishing. We are ready to let go, let's say 1 unit of from moving from A to B, we are ready to let go 1 unit of y for gaining 1 unit of x. That means 1 by 1. From B to C, as you can see, this length is more than this, so he is ready to let go 1.1 unit of y for 1 unit of x. From C to D, he is ready to let go, let's say 1.5 units of y for 1 unit of x. From D to E, he is ready to let go 1.7 units of y for 1 unit of x. That means marginal rate of technical substitution here is increasing. What does it mean? He is ready to let go more and more of y for more of X. It clearly shows that he prefers X over Y. He doesn't want Y. He is ready to let go more and more. If the quantity of X with him is increasing and he is ready to let go more and more of Y, that means he is certainly preferring X over Y. That's why this is happening. Okay, so in this case, what is going to happen is he will end up, the consumer will end up only consuming only one good, because it shows that he is directly preferring X over Y. And which is that one good? The X good. Same is in the case of straight line, from moving from point A, B, C, D, E. Okay, delta Y by delta X here remains the same. Moving from A to B, B to C, C to D, and D to E, he is ready to let go same quantity of Y for the same quantity of X. For 1 unit of Y, let's say he is going to let go 1 unit of, for 1 unit of X, he is ready to let go 1 unit of Y. As you can see, these lengths are all the same. Okay, as the quantity of X is increasing, he is ready to let go same quantity of Y. So MRTS remains the same. This is the case in when the two goods we are talking about are perfect substitutes. That means we are indifferent about both the goods. Either we might be end up here also, we might be consuming only Y, or we might be consuming only X, or we might be consuming any of these combination. We are just indifferent. Okay, but marginal rate of technical substitution is same, and this thing is very rare because perfect substitutes are very rare. Most of the goods are not perfect substitutes. So this is a case in case of few commodities only, and we are not talking about those few commodities, we are talking about the major commodities part. So we end up establishing that the marginal rate of technical substitution in most of the case of most of the goods is convex in shape, because these are imperfect substitutes. And when two goods are imperfect substitutes, we would like to consume a combination of two goods, to consume a combination, not just one. Alright, in this case only one, in this case only one. Alright, non-intersecting, two indifference curves cannot be intersecting because it will violate the assumption of transitivity, which says A greater than B and B greater than C. That means A is greater than C. Let's see in this case. Here we can see on indifference curve 1 and indifference curve 2. According to indifference curve 1, A is equal to C in terms of satisfaction. Okay, according to indifference curve 2, B is equal to C in terms of satisfaction. Alright, what does it mean now? And we can see that IC2 is at higher point than IC1. That means B is greater than C. B gives more satisfaction than A. These 2 points, because IC2 is higher than IC1, that means this point gives more satisfaction than this. So this is a mess up now. B is equal to C and B is greater than A. A is equal to C. So we have something fishy here. So it violates the assumption of transitivity, which simply says if A is greater than B and B is greater than C, so A should be greater than C. But in this case, this is not happening. So these indifference curve can never intersect each other. What is a budget line? Budget line is simply you have a budget. Whenever a consumer goes to a market, he has a budget. Let's say in this case the budget is M. He's going to buy two goods in the market. Those two goods are X and Y. So budget line will show all possible combination of those two goods that person is able to buy with the money he has. Let's make the budget line. Let's say the prices, these are two goods X and Y. Price of X is X and price of Y is Y. So if we spend all our money on X, how much of the quantity can we purchase? The quantity we are able to purchase is M by Px. If we are spending all money on X, okay, and similarly if we spend all our money on Y, we are able to purchase M by Py. So these are the 2 points. If we are spending all our money on X, we are able to purchase this quantity, and if we are able to purchase if we are able to spend all money on Y, then we will be purchasing this quantity. You must know OB is equal to M by Py and OA is equal to M by Px. Alright, so now if we find the slope of this budget line, OB is equal to M by PY and OA is equal to M by PX, as I just wrote here. So the slope of this line is going to be the price ratio of those two goods, PX by PY. Alright, now let's study the budget line movements. How, what does it mean when our budget increases? When our budget increases, the budget line is going to shift towards the right because we are able to buy more quantity of those two goods, and if our budget decreases, it will move towards the left. Alright, so these are going to be parallel movements. The slope is not going to change. So what if the price changes? Price of any of the goods changes. Let's say we are talking about good X here. If the price of good X increases, earlier this was the quantity. If the denominator increases, then the new M by P X1 is definitely going to be smaller than the earlier quantity. If the price increases, the budget line will move towards the left. Alright, the slope will increase. Alright, because denominator has changed. So this is going to be the M by Px1. Let's say the Px1 was the higher price, and Px2, let's say when the price has reduced. So when the price reduces, we are able to buy more than the earlier quantity. This was the earlier one. When we started from, if the price increases, our quantity that we are able to buy of X will reduce, and if the price of that good reduces, we are able to buy more of it. So this is how the budget line is going to move. It is going to stick to the same anchor point, and if the price increases, it will move towards the left. This anchor point is going to move towards the left. If the price decreases, this anchor point is going to move towards the right. Alright. Now, how the consumer is going to make his final decision? His objective is maximizes satisfaction. That means he is behaving rationally. How is going to decide by using these two concepts? So, when a person chooses a combination of goods that gives him maximum satisfaction, or among all the affordable combination, the line is pretty wrong here. A person chooses a combination. Just remove this pen. A person chooses a combination of goods that gives him maximum satisfaction among all the available combinations. Okay. So what are the combinations available to him? This is given by indifference curve. And what is the quantity of money? What are the possible combinations he can buy? I'm sorry, I messed up a little here. See, among all the available or affordable combinations are showed by budget line. Budget line shows them all the possible combination of two goods that a person can buy with the money he has. Alright, so this is the budget line. The green one is going to show the combination which he can buy with the money he has. So which one of the combination he should buy? He should buy a combination which gives him maximum satisfaction, and satisfaction level of different combinations is given by indifference curves. So we are going to draw an indifference map here, IC1, IC2 and IC3. Let's say this indifference map shows a scale of preferences about these two goods. Okay, so budget line shows possible, or can say affordable combinations, and indifference curve shows different combinations with different level of satisfaction. So how is he going to spend? He is going to buy that affordable combination which is going to give him maximum satisfaction. Okay, so how it is going to happen? Let's see diagrammatically. It is possible, it can be known by way of when this budget line is tangent to the farthest possible, when budget line is tangent to the farthest or highest indifference curve. Alright, with this budget we can buy this combination A and B and C. So in this case, which we are going to buy? We are going to buy B, because in B the quantity of, in case of B, we are at indifference curve 2. Alright, this is a higher level of satisfaction, and in case of A we are at IC1, in the case of C we are at IC1. So definitely with the money possible, this combination is going to give us higher level of satisfaction. So we are going to buy this, and this is the highest possible. When the budget line is tangent means touches at only the lowest point. It is touching the indifference curve at the lowest point. So our chance of reaching the higher indifference curve is the tangency point. So this is how we can get to know diagrammatically how a consumer can maximize his satisfaction with the available money. Alright, when the budget line is tangent to the highest possible indifference curve, that is the consumer equilibrium diagrammatically. Algebraically, or by way of maths, can we solve it when the slope of indifference curve is equal to the slope of budget line. So marginal rate of satisfaction, marginal rate of technical substitution between x and y is equal to delta y by delta x is equal to slope of this line, and slope of indifference curve is this line. Alright, so when these two slopes are equal, then consumer maximizes his satisfaction. Okay, these are the two methods. One is algebraic, second is diagrammatic. Algebraic, slopes should be equal. In diagrammatic, when the budget line is tangent to the highest possible indifference curve, this is again, it naturally means the same thing. Budget line slope is OA by OB. Alright, this is the slope. And indifference, if you want to find the slope of indifference curve, just draw a tangent here. If you want to find out the slope of indifference curve here, draw a tangent and just find out the slope. If you want to find out the slope here, just draw a tangent and find out the slope of this triangle. So when the points when this line, budget line, is tangent to the indifference curve, that means both budget line and the tangent to the indifference curve are going to be the same, and that's why the slope of these two lines is going to be the same. So this was all about consumer theory and its ordinal approach. Thank you very much. If you want to study more about the topic or in detail about the theory of the topic, you can refer this book or any other book. Porcianis is also one. Okay, so thank you very much. I hope you get the topic. If you still have any sort of doubt, we'll be discussing in the doubt class. Thank you.